everybody, it's me, John Ward, and I am back with that guy. Wait, hold on, I'm trying to do my finger right. With Donald Wills over there. How you doing,
What's up,
Donald?
everybody? How you doing, bud?
Yay, Donald. Yay. And on this video for film discussion, we are talking sequels. And it could be any sequel in whatever it is. If there's 20 movies in a series, you can pick number 19 if you want to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be part 2. Okay. And then we'll do prequels at a different time. But so we thought sequels would be interesting to do for this one. So I got 2 stacks, and then I have my list. How would you like to do this?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I didn't have a lot of I have a lot of box sets with a lot of sequels in them. And I tried to grab some stuff that I haven't shown in the past. So I just have like a select handful. I mean, there's a couple that I've shown in the past, but I figured it's like, let's go over that, and then we can do a little discussion about it. And I also have some video games, believe it or not.
I guess that, yeah, books, video games, all that stuff can count. Sure, why not? Yeah, that works. I don't know if I have any books that would count. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. And of course, I don't play games, so I don't have any of those. So, who wants to go first?
Well, how about this? I'll since I only have a very select few Blu-rays here, why don't I just show them off? You go ahead and show a stack of movies off, and then I'll show some video games off.
Okay. Do you want to do the list first, or do you want to do just random stuff?
Whatever you want to do, man.
Let's do the list.
Okay.
And then we'll show the random stuff, and then I Googled the best movies and the worst movies, and we can look at those too to get somebody else's opinion. So you normally like to start with the worst, right? From us doing this?
We can do the worst.
Okay, who wants to go first?
Seems like I always go first. Why don't you go first this time?
Okay. Now these are in no particular order. So
same here. I don't have them in any order either. So
yeah, and so I'm just going to. I'll start with the top one and work my way down. This, I don't know. This wasn't that hard. I think I had as much problems with the worst as I did with the best. Is there are so many good sequels, and I could only do 5 that I kind of have to juggle stuff. And then the worst was the same thing. It's just like, oh, I want to add this. But I figure sometime down the road we'll do a sequel video to sequels. So and then some of those
the sequel to sequels.
The sequels, exactly. So what I got is my first one on here is Staying Alive, the sequel to Saturday Night Fever. Directed by Sylvester. It is awful. It's directed by Sylvester Stallone, who even has a cameo. And I guess he's not Rocky, but for some reason Travolta and him pass each other and they kind of look back on the street. Is it supposed to be Sylvester Stallone that he's looking at? Is it supposed to be Rocky that he's like, why would he even acknowledge him in the street? But compared to Saturday Night Fever, God, this is awful. The directing is bad. The music is bad. The dancing is bad. Travolta's character is just a dickhead. and where the whole point of Saturday Night Fever is that he's growing.
I mean, isn't John Travolta kind of a jerk in like every movie he makes? I mean, he just has that look of you just want to punch that dude.
Poor John Travolta. I'll never have you guys in the same room together then. And then after that, Speed 2. Cruise Control.
I have not seen Speed 2, so I can't comment.
It is so boring, and there's a very good reason why Keanu Reeves is not in it. It's because it's bad. He actually got blacklisted from Hollywood for a while because he wouldn't do it. And there's a gap where I think that's when he did, was it Dog Star, his band? Like he was doing other stuff because he wasn't making movies because like people wouldn't hire him because of Speed 2. But it's so boring. And I don't know how you could tell when somebody, takes the boat, I don't know, lever and makes it go faster. Like, how do you really show that? Like they're just going from like 5 to 20, and when you shoot it outside, the water looks exactly the same. It just
couldn't have speed it up a little bit, just make it look like it's going faster or something.
I guess, yeah. I mean, the only good thing in it is when the boat smashes into the ship smashes into the pier. But man, it is bad. And Sandra Bullock was so cute in Speed, and she's just not in this. It's just not a good movie. Then Escape Plan 2. Speaking of Stallone again.
I've heard a lot of bad things about this one. I heard the first one was really good, and then the second and third one weren't that great. There was a third one, right?
Yeah. I guess that there's some sort of history here that I like the first one because that's Stallone and Schwarzenegger together, and it wasn't a bad idea. I liked it. And then they were supposed to make 2 and 3 together. I think it was supposed to be Stephen C. Miller was supposed to direct 2 and 3. And then he was fired, I think. And Stallone called it one of the worst experiences of his life. And a different director came in to do part 3. But part 2, I was so bored that I turned it off 20 minutes into the movie. I've never finished it. I do own the Blu-ray that has all 3 of them. And it was basically the price of one movie. I think it was like $5, $5 or $7, something like that for all 3 on Blu-ray. So I said, oh, why not? I still haven't watched it.
Pick up purchase or something.
Yeah. It's I would never own 2 and 3 if it wasn't in the pack, if it wasn't in the trilogy. But it's one of these things where I never finished it, so I can't say it for sure. But you're thinking it's Stallone again, but it's not. Instead, it's, from what I saw, is he's back at their company and he's watching somebody else.
Okay.
So instead of Stallone trying to get out of the prison, it's now somebody else, and Stallone is like monitoring them. And I thought, well, that's lame. I want to see Stallone, like break out of prison again. So
if they were going to do that, wouldn't they, like, why wouldn't they have like Stallone maybe talking to the person that's trying to get out, to give him a little more of a reason to be there?
That's kind of what's happening is like Stallone is monitoring it, and then he's watching the guy in prison. But
so he's just monitoring it. He's not like talking to the guy.
Yeah,
like,
I think he's talking to his own. Yeah, and I'm just like, this sucks, and I turned it off. And it's something that I guess Stallone doesn't talk a lot about. Stephen C. Miller doesn't talk a lot about. But yeah, it was bad. Rarely do I ever turn off a movie, but I couldn't do it. I just could not make it through it.
I've only done it to 2 movies. So.
Oh, which 2?
I forget, there was one called There Be Dragons, which is a really it started off as a war movie, and then kind of turned into a guy going through like to become a Catholic priest or something. And I was like, dude, like, what is going on here? Is this a war movie or about a guy that's becoming a Catholic priest? Either way, if it I don't know. I got like 40 minutes into it and I shut it off. The second one was Lars and the Real Girl. Just terrible movie. Terrible.
I own that one. It was a Dollar Tree thing, so I picked it up. So yeah, I don't remember.
Terrible, I'm telling you.
I did watch it, but I don't really remember anything from it. The next one is I don't know how they could get this so wrong. I don't, but it's A Good Day to Die Hard, the last Die Hard movie.
Okay.
which takes place in Russia. I don't like the guy. I think it's Sam Worthington who plays his son. I could be mixing up actors. There's two actors that I really don't like that are just slates of concrete. I mean, it's just like I just don't like them. And I thought, oh fuck, why is he in this? And it's one of those things where, like the Friday films, the ones with Ice Cube, they make the same mistake. The middle one makes the same mistake as this one does, which is McClane has to be picked up and dropped into the problem. He can't be the problem. And that's what he is in A Good Day to Die Hard, is he goes to Russia to find his son.
Okay.
And ends up ruining the son's like undercover job. And that's what starts this whole thing. And it's like, no, McClane can't start the problem. He has to be dropped in the middle of the problem. So, like in the first one, he's just happens to be at the building, when the terrorist hit. Yeah. In the second one, he just happens to be in the airport when the terrorist hit.
He was just the right place at the wrong time, kind of deal.
And in this one, he isn't. It's all and they're Supermen. By the time this movie ends, like they should be dead, or limbs missing or something. There's way too many explosions where they survive. And when I was watching, I think I've seen it twice, is so many civilians die. Like you're just watching this film going, oh my God, how many people are dying? Because like cars are falling on top of cars, or trucks are falling on top of cars, or buildings are exploding with people in them. And it's like, am I supposed to be saying this is cool? Because it looks like a lot of freaking people are dying, which they never mention. So I think that they could just stop the Die Hard movies now with that one. Yeah. And then my last one is, I don't know how else they would have done this, but it's Independence Day Resurgence.
Ooh.
And I get what they were trying to do, because we have all that alien technology. So I guess we would use that and incorporate it into daily lives and into defense and, setting up like a moon base, just in case the aliens come back. And I don't know what else they could have done unless they just remade the first movie.
I've heard when that movie was first coming out, there was a lot of hype behind it. I guess a lot of people were so excited about it, and then all of a sudden it just flopped. It was terrible. I haven't seen it myself, so I can't really say, but I've heard so many people say how bad it was. And as someone that's really not a big fan of the original, but I like it, but it's not something I'm gonna watch like every Independence Day. You know what I mean? Which I know, shocker.
Communist, liberal. It's just called you the worst thing.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. It's they even though this is like, I don't know, what was it, 15, 20 years after the first film took place or whatever it is. And it's weird, is like Jeff Goldblum goes to one of the ships that crashed at the end of the first movie, and I think it's in like South Africa, and he's never been to it before. Okay. And because it's like starting up again, like something's happening, like all of a sudden the lights are coming back on, and it's like, wait, so you haven't gone to these in 20 years? Like that's kind of like what your whole character is. You're supposed to be examining these. You think that you go to every single one around the world and examine these ships, but you've never been to this one, which is weird. Is
just the one they blow up at the end of the movie, of the first movie.
Wait, say that again.
Is just the one they blow up at the end of the first movie.
Oh no, there's just a whole bunch of ships that, because once they knock out the main ship, they all crash.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so this one crashes.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah, but you would think if that's your job, you would go to all of them. You know, why all of a sudden is this one not, that, which is weird. And then what's his face? Data, you know, from I'm blanking on his name. You know, when he was murdered or killed basically by the aliens, and they used him as like a meat puppet to talk through. And then in this one, we find out that he's in a coma for like 15, 20 years, and he just gets up and starts wandering around. It's like, your legs would be useless. Like, and you wouldn't know what's going on. Like, you wouldn't just get up. But it's almost like the filmmakers never watched a documentary or a movie about somebody that's been in a coma.
I mean, it sounds to me like did they even watch the first movie at that time?
It's weird. It's like if you watch like The Dead Zone, you know, the Johnny, the main character, is in a coma, I think, for 5 years, and he could barely use his legs. He has to use a cane. He's got to use like the crutches. He goes through physical therapy. But in Independence Day Resurgence, he just gets up. Brent Spiner, there we go, that's his name. Brent Spiner just gets up and just starts wandering around like he's fine, and like doesn't really question anything. It's just weird. I do like that the president has some sort of psychic link. I like that, because that's kind of weird. He's all got like the crazy like mountain man beard. But man, it's like, what are you guys thinking? And they wanted to make like 10 of these. That was like the intention with the director, Roland Emmerich, was he wanted to make like a whole bunch of these. And it's like, dude, it's not Stargate, which he did. It's like,
imagine a world where Independence Day is the modern day Fast and Furious.
Well, I like Fast and Furious. I like those. Those are fun.
Yeah.
So, but that's my 5 for worst. So, what about you?
All right. Well, but earlier you referenced next Friday. Well, my number 5, like I said, these are also not in any particular order, except for number 1.
Okay. There we go. Now you're back.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just getting a phone call. Okay, people need to bother me when I'm having these things.
I know. So start over, because the second you started talking, it went out.
Okay. So my number 5 is Friday After Next.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's weird that I brought that one up.
You mentioned next Friday. You said the problem with he is like when you were talking about A Good Day to Die Hard. Or what is it's called?
Yeah, A Good Day to Die Hard. Yeah.
Okay, I'm making sure I got the name right, because I'm bad with names. Well, I just feel like the third movie just didn't need to happen. Like the first two. Okay, the first one is obviously the best one. Second one is kind of okay. I can see why they did it. Third was just like, why did you make this? I guess they wanted to make a Christmas movie, I guess, which seemed to be with a lot of comedy trilogies. That seemed to be what the third one usually is something either a Halloween one or a Christmas one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't work for me. Cat Williams, I like Cat Williams, but I didn't think he was funny in this one.
I thought the third one was better than second. I did a marathon one day. The original Friday is a classic. I mean, it's just got that great line. How do you get fired on your day off, which is great. and which is why they take him and plop him into a situation, that he shouldn't be in. And then the second one, they move or something to like a new place, and Ice Cube like fucks with the guys that are already there, and that starts the problem.
Yeah.
But in the second one, it goes back to kind of plopping him in, or the third one goes back to him being plopped in. So not a great movie, but I did like it better than 2.
If you really think about it, the first Friday, Ice Cube really didn't like do anything. Like he just so happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time because it started off with Smokey not selling Big Worm's weed and smoking his weed and all that. The second one, he's just at the wrong place at the wrong time. The third one just kind of feels forced, if you know what I'm saying. So
Okay.
I don't know. It is what
Okay.
it is. All right, so number 4 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
I know a lot of people who don't like that one. Why don't you like it?
Well, okay. So when you come from the first two, which were great, like after Secret of the Ooze, they kind of just like the first two were kind of dark and more like there were some comedy bits, but it was more of like a darker film. You know what I'm saying? So this one kind of tried to make it more of a kids movie more than it was like a sequel to Secret of the Ooze.
Okay.
So, and a lot of dumb lines like, "Help! I can't get up. I'm a turtle." You're a ninja. You're a freaking ninja.
But he's
How
on
do
his
you
back.
not?
And
I don't care, John. I don't care. I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff didn't work. I mean, I can watch it, but I don't particularly care to watch it, if you know what I'm saying.
do you prefer those original 3 over the Michael Bay turtle ones? Or the Michael Bay over those 3 original?
Oh, definitely the original over Michael Bay. Michael Bay's was it has its problems. It's an okay adaptation, but I don't know. It just seems they're way too bulky, way too muscular. They're not. They when I look at them, they don't represent teenagers. They more represent like they're adults. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what? No. So
I found the Michael Bay ones to just be kind of gross to look at. That the original ones, which were done by Jim Henson, I thought matched the comic books closer and the cartoon. The Michael Bay ones, I thought like they were trying to get the turtles' anatomy correct in a way.
Yeah.
And that it was just it's like what they did with the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Is if somebody was burned, like they wouldn't have a nose, and so they looked at burn victims and made Freddy look like an actual burn victim. Yeah. So he just was kind of gross to look at, where Robert Englund had the nose and all that, and he was fine to look at. But it's I think when you try to be that correct on something, it just doesn't.
Some things it's just being realistic and just doesn't work. Sometimes just needs to be left alone. Like if it was based on a cartoon, a cartoon is not going to make something look realistic and make sense, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay, sure.
So all right, well, my number 3, Big Mama's House 2.
I have not seen. How many are there of those? 2, 3? I've not seen one, so I will take your word for it.
I've seen the first one. I mean, the first one's a classic. Second one was just stupid, and the third one I didn't even watch. So the second one turned me off so bad. I was like, nah.
Yeah, I've never been a Martin Lawrence fan, so I kind of like him in the Bad Boy movies, but we're bad boys.
I like Martin Lawrence, but I mean, I think when it comes to Bad Boys, I mean, Will Smith really picks up for Martin Lawrence. Oh my God, sorry, I'm getting an author and Martin Lawrence mixed up.
Ooh, poor author.
I mean, is what it is. So funny story. My number 2 was actually when I asked you earlier is this allowed because it's technically a sequel, but it's really not. It's more of a prequel. So you said no, so we will skip that one. And I couldn't think of anything else to really throw in it. So I'm going to cheat and put 3 movies as one.
Okay,
and you know where I'm going with this. I think you already know. Already know.
Let's see. Okay.
The Star Wars Disney sequels.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going. Okay. All right. I'll agree with that. Yeah, because they're all
So,
sequels.
I mean, but if I had to narrow it down to just one, I'd have to say The Last Jedi.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
The Last Jedi was the worst. I mean, I like Rian Johnson as a director. I don't like what he did with Star Wars. So
no, he did. I love Looper, but I don't like really anything else he's done.
Brick was good. I like Brick.
Oh yeah, he did Brick. His early stuff was good.
And he did Knives Out. Knives Out was really good.
I thought it was okay, but it was a little gimmicky, and then the second one was a little gimmicky too. But those were okay. Those were all right. Yeah, I mean, they weren't divisive or anything. So
Every movie he's done that's not Star Wars.
Yeah, pretty much. And then so let people know what was the one that I vetoed.
What's that?
What film was the one that I vetoed?
Well, it was Dumb and Dumber. And I thought so. I was thinking, like, wait a minute, this is more of a prequel, so that's why we decided to do prequels down the line. So,
yeah, because it was made after, but it's a prequel, and then they did do Dumb and Dumber 2, TOO.
Yeah,
so
which I haven't seen. So
you could put that in its place. That's how bad it is. I actually enjoyed Dumb and Dumber more than Dumb and Dumber 2, TOO. TOO is so obnoxious. It's so annoying. So that could be your number 2 without even seeing it. It's so bad. At least the prequel tried. I don't think.
Yeah.
This one.
I'll have to give it a watch. Maybe if I watch the sequel to Dumb and Dumber 2, maybe Dumb and Dumber will get moved off that list. So never know.
It is.
And
it's better.
And number 1 might be another cheat, but it's actually a season, kind of like a return. It's actually a season of a TV show that came back 25 years later. Okay. And that's Twin Peaks: The Return.
Oh, okay. I have not seen it. So I saw the original Twin Peaks and Fire Walk with Me and stuff, but I never watched The Return.
It's god awful. Okay, here's the only thing I'll say about it. With the original Twin Peaks, you have David Lynch and Mark Frost working together up to about season 2, and then they kind of just left and did their own thing, and then came back right at the very end when the series was getting canceled to finish up the last episode and kind of brought it all back. This one kind of you've seen Twin Peaks season 2, the end of season 2?
Yeah, I've seen the original series in the movie. Yeah.
Okay, well, it picks up right where the original series left off, and it kind of just goes into like an acid trip kind of deal for like 18 episodes. It's like I don't even know what the story was. There was like a lot of weird things. Like they had a character that was out in the woods. I guess he was related to one of the original cast members or something. And all of a sudden you see the camera pointing at his foot and his foot saying, "I'm not your foot." I'm like, oh my God.
You know, I saw an interview with David Lynch, and somebody asked him, like, what does Lost Highway mean? You know, what does it really mean? You know, can you're the one to tell us. And he just goes, "Wow, I'm not going to tell you what it means. It's up to your interpretation on what it means, you know, blah, blah." And I thought, he doesn't even know. No. He just makes weird fucking movies. that probably have no meaning at all. And that probably goes the same thing with Twin Peaks and, you know, Twin Peaks The Return. Like, it's just weird shit thrown in for
There
weird shit,
is
you
a
know, per, you know.
4 hour. Someone made a 4 hour video talking about the Twin Peaks Explained. And even after watching that 4 hours of this dude trying to explain it, I still didn't understand it.
Well,
So,
I got mad. I actually threw my shoe at my TV, and this is one of those giant ones back in the day. So it wouldn't fall over. It was like a sneaker, but it was, we knew this, we knew that the series was ending, and that was Cooper laughing in the mirror because now Bob has possessed him. And then we knew that there was Fire Walk with Me, which was the prequel. And David Lynch said that he was going to do a sequel to wrap it up.
Yeah.
And like a movie, but then the series got canceled. Then the movie didn't do very well, which means they then canceled the sequel. And so while I was watching the series, and you just see Cooper laughing and it ends, I got so mad that I actually took my shoe off and threw it at the screen. I was so angry because I knew that they're not going to finish anything.
You think they would at least try to wrap it up and make it make sense, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, my biggest problem is the return, which is season 3. They just called it Twin Peaks: The Return. That's what they called it. I don't know why. It's just a really stupid name. They should have just called it season 3. My biggest problem is, and we'll discuss this a little bit later, when they do things 25 years later, a lot of times it's not going to have the same charm and same effects as a movie if you would have done it like a couple years later. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes 25 years later, in some cases it works. Like I've heard, like Top Gun Mavericks that did really well. That's 25 years later, so that's one thing. But when you have something like Twin Peaks here, and half of the creators is not even there, what's the point?
I think they were just trying to do like retro stuff like X-Files. So I don't think X-Files really never had an ending. And then they did, because they did Fight the Future, which was in between 2 seasons. And then they did the movie I Want to Believe that everybody criticized, because why wouldn't you believe by now? Like the show was on, from 8 seasons or whatever it was, and you had the movie, and people still aren't believing. And then they did those 2 seasons, 3 seasons where they brought everybody back, and what's their faces who play Mulder and Scully kept talking about how much they hate one another and how they're never going to do another season again. So, and then I heard that most of those, I saw season 1, but I didn't, or that's new season, but I didn't see season 2. So I don't know. It just seems like they just do stuff to do stuff, and a lot of times it doesn't work.
Yeah. It's but that's my 5 worst sequels.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on to best. Yeah. Once again, this is not in order, and I don't have any of these sitting over here. I like I did before, where I've actually had them twice. So I thought that was redundant. So anything that's on this list will not be in the stack. So the first one would be The Road Warrior. So great sequel.
That's the second one, right?
Yeah, Mad Max 2. And then Godfather Part 2, where it goes back and forth. What's better, Part 1 or Part 2? They keep going back and forth. And then The Empire Strikes Back, one of the greatest sequels ever made, where it has a beginning, middle, and end, and it's still, and it works. You could watch that by itself and it works. Instead of having to watch movies after it. That's the whole idea. Aliens.
This is good.
Yep. And then Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Have not seen any of the Star Trek movies. I need to. That's on my list to watch.
Go back to communist China. What are you doing? Who are you? Who's this person who took over Donald? How could you have not seen any of the Star Trek movies? You only need to see like up through Next Generation. You can skip everything else.
Okay, well here's the reason I was not a big fan. I'm not a big Trekkie, so that is mainly. And I've had a lot of people when I was going to school that was big Trekkies, and not trying to be mean. Some of y'all Trekkies can be very annoying when it comes to Star Trek.
Well, yes. So, but Star Wars people can be just as annoying. So
yes, but not as like, ow. Well, actually, there's at this episode that Spock. I don't care. Okay, I don't care.
Season 2, episode 13, where Spock and Kirk.
Exactly. Oh man, it was right when the movies were coming out, and I forget which one. I think Into Darkness was just coming out.
Ugh, yeah, I did not like
and
that.
Yeah, well, anyway, everyone was all angry that, well, Spock doesn't show emotions, and they need to get this right. Who cares, people? Who cares? If Spock showed a little emotion, who cares?
Because he's suppressed them because he's half human. So he wants to be full Vulcan, so he suppresses them. So he can't show it. See? Do you see? Because there is the episode, season 1, episode number 14, where I actually don't know.
You actually know this?
But there is the episode where Kirk has to snap Spock out of his mental state by making him do emotions. And that's the only way that he can get him out of that. So, there's stuff there. I just didn't like Into Darkness just because I thought it was just, well, thanks, J.J. Abrams, for just giving us a repeat of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. That's all it is. So,
but John, it's in an alternate timeline, though.
If that was the plan, if the idea was that the events still happen in the way, but just different, then I would accept that. I would have no problem with that. But that wasn't what was going on. It was just lazy. So I have to kind of look at it that way if I watch it, because it does have its moments. But yeah.
I mean, like I said, Trekkies can be annoying. So can Star Wars fans.
So can Doctor Who fans. So
any fandom can be annoying. But I don't know. Out of all the big fandoms, Trekkies just seem to irritate me the most. To all my Trekkie friends out there that are watching, no offense, please do not take offense to that. We just got canceled, John.
Yep, there it goes. So, all right. So you're gone, man. But first, give me your best, and then go.
All right. So my top 5, again, not in any particular order. Number 5 might be a controversial pick. Predators 2.
Yeah.
I like Predators 2 a little bit better than I do like Arnold Schwarzenegger's Predators, but 2 just seemed to be a little more, what's the word I want to say, structured a little bit better, if you know what I'm saying. Not really structured, but I don't know, it just seemed to be a better sequel.
If you like it, then that's fine, because there's going to be some very questionable stuff in my stack, so I can't complain about that. Okay.
Wait, you didn't like Predators 2?
The Predator stuff is very mixed. I
Okay.
think 2 is one of the weaker ones.
Okay.
But
Fair deal.
yeah, but I do think it's better than The Predator,
Okay.
but
I
not as
haven't
good as
seen past.
Predators.
I haven't seen past the second one. There's a lot of them. I didn't even know they were still making them until a couple years ago.
Yeah, because
I was
there's
like, they're
Prey. The newest one is Prey.
yeah. Well, because I'm right after Predators 2. That isn't that when they went into Alien versus Predators and stuff like that.
Yes,
Okay,
and then
because there was
yeah,
Alien versus Predators, and then the sequel to that, which
Alien. Yeah,
eh,
because there's Alien versus Predator. Then there's Aliens versus Predator Requiem,
yeah,
and then they did after that Predators,
okay,
and then after that was The Predator, and then after
okay,
that is Prey, and now they're
okay,
making another one, which I guess
okay,
is a sequel to Prey.
okay. All right. I enjoyed them. I haven't watched the newer ones. I didn't, like I said, after Alien versus Predators, the second one, Requiem, is it Requiem or whatever it's called?
Yeah,
That one's the last one I've seen, so I need to watch the other ones. I've heard mixed opinions on both of the newer ones, so
I would
we'll see.
probably put Requiem on my worst. Like if I had to do
Oh,
another
okay,
list, I'd probably put it there
okay,
because we wanted Earth, we got Earth, we didn't want it this way, and the filmmakers intentionally shot the film dark. You can't see
okay.
a friggin' thing. Even day is
It's been
dark.
a while since I've seen it, so I'm gonna have to.
It
I'm,
is
I'm definitely gonna have to
black.
rewatch a lot of them.
It is
Okay,
so annoying. I don't know. When they released it for like home video, whatever, they should have brightened it. They shouldn't have left it the
yeah,
way it is. And the filmmakers have talked about that. There was a creative choice, and it was a bad choice. So,
yeah,
which is why I think a lot of people don't like it. So, okay. So please
okay.
continue.
All right, so number 4, and I'm calling it Evil Dead 3: Army of Darkness.
That's fair. Okay. Army of Darkness. Okay. Good.
Army
Okay.
of Darkness is my favorite out of the three. I liked the first two. I watched the first one when I first watched it when I was young and dumb, and
Full
I
of
won't
it.
finish that. Shh, don't start. I didn't like the first one when I first seen it. Years later, when I revisited, I grew to appreciate it. Like I said, I watched this when I was in high school, and I didn't have the appreciation for movies like I do now. So, but Army of Darkness is definitely on my favorite lists
Okay.
because
Okay.
I mean, come on, who cannot forget the classic line? This here is my boomstick.
It is classic. It is now iconic. So, what ending do you like better? The futuristic apocalypse ending or the S Smart ending?
They did a future.
You've never seen it?
I don't think I have.
Yeah,
There
there's
was
the
a future.
theatrical ending
I've
is
seen. I've seen the one where he's at the that little like convenience store, and he goes "Hail to the King, baby," and he kisses that girl.
that's
That's
the
the part one.
theatrical ending. That's the reshot ending. And to give it
Okay.
a happy ending. The original ending, which was the European ending, which I don't know what version you like what studio brought out the version you have, but it most
I'm
likely
trying to
has
see
the
if I have.
alternate ending where he takes too many drops
Okay.
and he ends up in post-apocalyptic times and
Okay.
everything is destroyed, and it has an ending that's similar to Evil Dead 2, where he's like, standing there going, I slept too long. And you see like Big Ben's all messed up and like the London Bridge is all collapsed. And
Okay.
yeah, it's a great ending. I actually prefer it over that one, over the
Okay.
original.
Well,
But
didn't they do the same thing for the show, Ash versus Evil Dead, in season at the end of season 3?
yes, because they couldn't get the rights from Universal to have Army of Darkness mentioned. So most
Okay.
likely, if they did, they probably would have used the theatrical ending where he's back at S-Mart.
Okay.
They hint that something happened,
Okay.
and they say, well, it didn't. We're not saying it didn't happen, but we can't say that it did happen. And then at the very end of it, at the end of the series, he's got the car and he ends up in like Road Warrior times. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Post-apocalyptic. Yeah. So
Yeah. Okay.
okay.
So, all right. Number 3 is Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. The ending of the trilogy.
The theater version or the extended version?
Obviously, the extended cut.
Okay.
We gotta have the extended cut. I mean, if you're really gonna, if you're gonna say the extended cut, like all 3 movies definitely benefit from the extended cut.
So, now, couldn't you kind of like what you did with the Star Wars sequels? Couldn't you make this one and call it the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Yeah, but I figured I'm trying to. That's why I said when I did the worst, I said, hey, I count all 3 Disney sequels, but if I had to narrow it down to one, I picked the Last Jedi.
Okay.
So that's why I figured, I'm like, well, and plus, I know this is gonna sound strange, but when Lord of the Rings: Return of the King first came out, I actually got to see it in theaters. That was the very first Lord of the Rings movie I've seen. Oh. Why my aunt decided to take me to the very end of the series, I don't know.
How you had any idea of what the hell was going on? I mean,
I didn't. I was like, "What's going on?" She's like, "Oh, well, you gotta watch the first 2 to understand."
But then why am I here?
I'm sorry. You just give me 1 minute.
It's sure.
All right, 1 minute.
All right, so I will entertain you until Donald comes back then. So if you want, down in the in the little area down there that you can comment, let me know your favorite sequels. Remember, prequels do not count, but it can be like one of those reboots. Like if you like Scream.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Okay. I was letting people know, hey, comment down below what your favorite sequels are.
Yeah. Tell us your top worst and your top best.
Yeah. Now I'm seeing a lot of desk. There you go. Perfect. Okay, so what's after that one then? After Return of the King?
All right, so you mentioned one of them. I'm going to go the movie after you. Oh. I'm going to go Star Wars: Return of the Jedi.
Really? Okay.
I liked all. Like I said, the first 3 are all classics. I can't really, but if I had to pick the one that I've seen the most of, it's Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Believe it or not, but
I
so that's the one I have the most. I mean, like I said, I like all 3 of them. Now, when it comes to the sequel, the prequel trilogy, there's hit or miss, and the sequels we don't speak of. So,
yeah, like and people can look back at our reviews for all that stuff. So that's some of the first things that we did. So yeah. Okay, Return of the Jedi. All right.
Okay. And my number 1 pick, like I said, this isn't in any order, but I had to pick Rocky 3.
Why Rocky 3 out of all of them?
Because Rocky 3 is the one that like I said, it goes a lot with nostalgia because I've watched that one the most. That was the one that was always on TV, and every time when I was a kid, I would watch it all the time. And come on, What the it's been a while since I've seen.
Clubber Lane,
Yes, I keep getting his
Mr.
name
T.
mixed up. Mr. T. I was gonna say Mr. T, but I keep getting his character's name. It's classic villain. I mean, come on.
Also has Hulk Hogan when he was cool. Before he became a racist.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but if I had to pick any of the other Rocky movies, I would definitely say 4 is good. I still have not seen the director's cut that he did.
Either have I really want to see that. I heard
Yeah,
that he purposely cut out Bridget Nielsen, like she's barely in the movie, which I don't blame him for. So
and the robot, he cut the robot out.
the robot is gone. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Which was just kind of disappointing, but as long as we still have the original, it's
I
so
like the robot.
it's so stupid that it's kind of funny. So yeah, I
Yeah,
actually have sitting right here. Once again, it was hard to pick, but I got Creed 2 and Creed 3. What do you think of those?
I've only seen Creed 1. I need to see the second and third one.
But
I didn't even know the third one was out on Blu-ray already.
yeah, out
Okay.
of the 3, Creed 2 is my favorite.
Okay.
Then Creed, then 3. And that's not saying that 3 is bad at all. 3 is it would have been interesting to see what Stallone would have done, because he's not
Okay.
involved in this at all. He's only brought up
Really?
once in the entire movie. And
Okay.
and I guess Stallone saw it and then said, well, it's not what I would have done. Because I
Yeah.
heard that he did want to bring back Clubber Lane. So maybe his part 3 would have had Clubber Lane in it.
Okay.
But
Or like his son or something like that, like they kind of did with the.
the son's in it.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean like he could have had like Apollo Crews, not Apollo Creed. I'm getting names. Apollo's son fight Clubber Lang's son. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, then you're just doing this.
Okay. I said I haven't seen the
Yeah,
the sequels.
that's because there's Drago, and that's Drago's son.
Oh.
And so
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, that
so
makes
then,
sense.
yeah.
That makes
I
sense.
think
Okay. Yeah.
I love these. I think this is, and Michael B. Jordan directed this one too. And I
Okay.
love it. I think it's really good. I've seen it like 3 times. I
Okay.
thought it was excellent.
Okay. Cool deal.
So, but those weren't part of the original list or the original stack. So, do you have anything else you'd like to show?
That's my
Well,
top 5.
you have some physical stuff, right? That's what you said.
Yes, I have like I said, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Blu-rays, mostly box sets. I
Okay.
have more box sets, but I can't really reach them at the moment, so they're gonna
That's
have
okay.
to stay up there.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll start. Yes, because then you just went. So then I'll go, and then you'll go, and then I'll go again, because I have the independent, the micro
Okay.
budget ones.
Okay.
So I started with this one because it's VHS. It's the only way you can get this movie in this version. There are other versions of this, which I own, but I do not like them as much as this. And I know people think I'm crazy for this. I've gotten into arguments with people. This is the best version of this sequel. The other ones, the Renegade cuts, if that gives you a hint, are not as good as this. I think they kind of ruin it. And that is Highlander 2: The Quickening.
Oh, okay.
This is considered to be one of the worst movies ever made. It is kind of put right up there with like Lawnmower Man 2. But I love this version of the film. This is the theatrical version. It's
Okay.
90 minutes, while the there's like 3 Renegade cuts of this that Russell McKay and the producer did. So there's like a British one, and then there's like 2 other American ones where they retcon that they're aliens from another planet, and they just make them from Earth, like way in the past. Does it make sense?
Okay.
But I don't care what people say. I like this, and even Sean Connery said that he really liked the first movie. He liked working with Christopher Lambert. He liked working with Russell Mulcahy, and that's why he did part two.
Okay.
Obviously, it was probably a little bit of a cash grab because they had to pay him a lot of money to do it. But yeah, I was able to meet him once. I was on the set for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and because
Okay.
they lost footage, and so they had to reshoot the motorcycle chase with the Nazis in Marin County. And I found out about it. So two of my friends and I went over, and there's Sean Connery all in the wardrobe and stuff. And the I guess like a PA or wherever she is, she's like, Mr. Connery, we need to get to set. And he goes, I just want to get a cup of coffee. And he goes over to craft service, and I have a Highlander poster with me and a pin, and I have it perfectly done up so we could just sign it. And I just raced over, and I said, Mr. Connery, can I get your autograph? I said, I'm sorry, it's a Highlander poster and not a James Bond movie. And he goes, I like Highlander. And he wrote, best wishes, Sean Connery.
Nice.
Okay, cool. So he likes Highlander,
There you go. Nice.
Yeah. This next one I think is the best of the series. I love this film. I want to make AXEMAS 4 in tribute to this and do it the same exact way. I don't care what people say. I love this movie. I hated it when I first saw it, and then once I found out why it was made the way it was, I love it. And that would be Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
Okay.
So it's just in like an hour's worth of flashbacks to the first movie, and then like 20 minutes, 30 minutes of new footage. But it's amazing. The documentary on this, this is done through Scream Factory, and it's just the documentary and everything is great. So I love this film. I even have the toy. I got the figure of him. I have 1 and 2. This one, I didn't think that they could do a good job, and I thought they did a great job. And I love this film. We've seen it a few times, and that's Blade Runner 2049. So
I need to give it another chance. I need to watch it again and see, because I've heard a lot of people say, because I didn't like it when I first seen it, and I've heard a lot of people say give it another chance. So I'm gonna give it another chance to see if maybe my opinion has changed. Again, this is another example of the 25 years. Me personally, I wish they would have just made it its own story. If you know what I mean, I wish they would have just left, Harrison Ford out of it. You know what I'm saying?
I
That's
think
my
this
only.
was, yeah. I mean, this is during I think Harrison Ford's weird period of I'm retired, but I've kind of gotten over all that shit. Like I'm now willing to come back as Han Solo. I'm now willing to come back as Deckard. I'm now, and so he's, he most like, kind of like Sean Connery, he probably got paid well, but he seemed to kind of be on that nostalgia tour, of these movies. There were certain things that I didn't like about it, but it's for the director of Dune, and I love his films. He also did Arrival that I loved. Prisoners, I believe he also did. And I just think he's just a great director. I love this. Yeah, I thought this was really good. Yeah, give it a second chance.
I mean, like I said, I think my problem was I went into it because the very first Blade Runner was one of my favorite movies, and I went into it expecting like a direct sequel, and it really, I mean, it is, but it isn't. If that makes sense, it's kind of like its own thing, but having like a nod to the original.
I don't
like
think you could unless you wanted to go back and make it look the way that it did. Instead, they see. I don't mind it. Like if you, I've watched now a couple of times the trailer for Saw X or Saw 10, and Jigsaw's back in it. Amanda's back in it. Well, the actors are obviously older looking. They and that doesn't bother me at all. I don't care.
It's not the fact that he's older that bothers me. I just wish it was more like, okay, they could have done something to like explain like a little bit more like where I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's like more. I wish not Han Solo, freaking Harrison Ford's character Deckard was more of a player in this than he was. It just seemed like he was just a secondary character in this, and that's what I loved about the first one was his character. So
Okay.
that's that was my biggest gripe.
But
I
some
wish
people,
they,
yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Well, if you have free time, give it a second, shot. See what you think.
I definitely have
Now
to.
that you know what's going on,
Yeah,
you might like it better. So,
yeah.
this is it's a box set. I guess you could call this a box set, but I am only because I can only show it as a box set. But it's the Scream box set. But I'm mentioned it's Scream 2.
Yeah.
So I think I love 2 and 4, but if I had to pick one of the other, I would probably go with Scream 2. I love Scream 2.
Is that the one with the documentaries on it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, still Scream the Inside Story. Yeah, so it's the first 3 films plus the 2 documentaries, so that makes it the 5 film set.
Okay.
But yeah, I love Scream 2, and I was on the set for Scream 2 and didn't even know it. So I kind of walked into it at like 12 o'clock at night and did not know that it was the set for Scream 2. It's where where her and her friend, her roommate, are on the street that has all the construction, and they slam the car into the construction, and Ghostface is unconscious, and they have to crawl over him. That I walked through that set.
Oh,
I know
wow.
that was done on a. I would walk that street home every night from when I worked at Tower Records, and I had no idea until I saw the movie, and I went, "Oh shit!" I walked through that, and it was just construction stuff, so they didn't have it blocked off or anything. So because they probably hadn't even filmed yet, because everything looked normal, it just looked like they're doing construction. But it was weird is when all this stuff was missing, it's like, where did they do the construction? And then I saw the movie and like, oh, it's part of Scream 2. So Scream 2 and Scream 4 kind of teeter for me on which one I like better. But if I had to go, I'd say Scream 2.
Okay.
Nothing beats this sequel in the entire series. I love this. I love the sequel. I always have. If somebody said, what Friday the 13th would you watch? I would watch part 2 over and over and over again. I love Friday the 13th, and I can't tell you why.
I have the box set from Screen Factory up there.
Oh, nice. All mine are on. I have 2 sets of these, and but this one, yeah, this is from. It's like got like that little 3D cover on it.
Okay.
And this is when they did that stupid Lost Tales from Camp Blood, where it came out that it was pure nepotism, that it was like the producer's son had made this horror film in school, and they just cut it up into like 10-minute segments and put it on all the movies. It has nothing to do with Friday the 13th or Camp Blood or anything. And it kind of sucked. So that's the only thing I don't like about this. But yeah, there's something about like Amy Steele. All the women in this are gorgeous. You get full frontal from the one with the short hair. That's, oh my god, like you wouldn't even get that today. I like that Jason has the bag. The music, I think, is one of the best music. I mean, I guess I'm saying I can't tell you, but I guess I am. But there's just something about part 2 that I loved. And I think that it's better than part 4. I think it's better than part 7. I don't know. There's something about it that I just absolutely love.
I need to rewatch a lot of them because I don't know if I've actually seen all of them the entire way through. This is another one, another series that I would catch like the TV version, which a lot of it would be edited and stuff. You know what I'm saying, for TV. So I would catch like a part of 5 or a part of 3. The only one I think I've seen the whole way through multiple times was part 3. I would catch like I would, yeah. So I would catch like bits and pieces of like 1 through 9 or what, 9 or something like that.
3 is the weird one because it's when the lead actress, the final girl, is talking about her flashback, which takes place right after part 2, that Jason becomes a rapist. And it's really weird how she talks about it, is that Jason doesn't try to kill her when she's doing the flashback. He's trying to rape her. It's kind of weird.
Okay.
Because Jason's never done that before, and or after. And so it's really weird. But I like part 3. Now this one technically is a sequel.
Yeah.
Depends on where you watch it and what company you watch it from.
Okay.
So it's Zombie 2, which I still think is, Italian wise, it's the best zombie movie. So depending on where you see it, Dawn of the Dead, the Argento cut, is Zombie. And that
keep talking.
And do you have it? Is this 2 disc? It is 2 disc. So I have this, and I also have the Blue Underground. Yeah, that's it. And that one comes in the box set also that I have. Because there's like 4 different versions in the box set. And so if you see this in Italy, then it's
and
Zombie.
I also have that.
Oh, sweet. See, but you got that looks like you got the slip. I didn't get the slip.
It's like a box.
I like that. I wish I didn't notice that had it. Yeah,
the same thing. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I want the box. I may rebuy it if I find it with the box. But yeah, so in Italy, Zombie, Dawn of the Dead, and then Zombie 2.
Yeah.
But then if you see it in America, then it's just Dawn of the Dead and Zombie with an E.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it depends. So my Blue Underground copy is Zombie with an E.
Yeah.
And then this is Shriek Factory, that's Zombie 2 without an E. So
I also have the 3rd one.
I got that too in the box set that has 3, 4, and 5.
I mainly bought it because, and this is going to sound really pathetic, I wanted the movies where it was spelt like the way it is, Zombi. I didn't want it spelt zombie, like regular zombie. I wanted it with the I, just the I. I know it's petty, but what can I say?
No. It's and I think, what is this? Does this have? I think this has a poster. Because I never put these things up. Yeah, so there's its poster that comes with it. Does yours have the poster in it?
I'm gonna look.
And it should be two DVDs, right?
I want to talk about it.
You didn't get it?
I don't have a poster. I bought it used, so I
bought mine used too. And you got the chaperone disc, right?
Yeah, I got
it's a double disc.
Part. Yeah, it's double disc.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna have to track down that poster now.
But the when I put this in to watch it, it does just say Zombie with an E.
Okay.
So I think it's a Shriek Show and Blue Underground agreed. Well, one will be Zombie with an E, the other one will be Zombie 2. And then of course they both have different special features. So all right. So I can't have anything without a Tom Cruise mention. And you'd mentioned Top Gun Maverick before, but this is the best in the Mission Impossible series. It made the most money out of all of them. It is considered to be the best in the series, along with one of the best action movies ever made. This thing is pretty much perfect, and that's Mission Impossible Fallout.
I figured that's who you were talking about.
This is the one that has Henry Cavill in it, where he does what everybody mentions. He does the cocking of the fists right before he fights the guy in the bathroom, which is like the greatest thing ever. When he just does right before he starts the fight. It's in whenever they talk about Mission Impossible Fallout, they always show that shot of him doing that because it's just awesome. But this has like, yeah, the helicopter with him hanging off of it. This is just a great movie. This is the 10 that I got. I have all of them actually in the 10.
The steelbooks, yeah.
Yeah, and I keep this, so I always keep it wrapped up on it. But it's, and it even comes with a booklet on stunts, on like the
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, I love Fallout. Rogue Nation is really good, but Fallout's better.
Yeah.
And of course, you mentioned it, Top Gun Maverick.
Nice.
And that's I got to have this in here because I've said this before to you and 20 billion other people. He saved Hollywood. Over $1 billion for a film that nobody wanted. And it's the highest grossing movie that Paramount has ever done. Sadly, nobody thought the same thing for Mission Impossible 7. Which really sucks that it went the complete opposite way. So, suck. And I liked Mission Impossible 7. But Fallout, I think, is still better.
Okay.
This is my favorite trilogy. I have 2 left. This is my favorite trilogy.
Okay.
And I hope they do not remake them or add to them, leave them the way they are, because I think without these 3 films, we wouldn't have had Joker. And it is out of the 2 sequels I picked, The Hangover Part 2.
Okay. Each
film gets darker, and I think that really worked. I think that who is it? Todd Phillips. I think making these helped him do Joker.
Okay.
And I really like Part 2. It's beautifully shot. And I do have some issues. Have you seen it, or do you plan on seeing it?
I think I've seen bits and pieces of it. I don't think I've actually seen it the whole way through, though.
My biggest problem with this film is that Alan drugs them again. I don't like that. He shouldn't have drugged them. He should have been blamed for them being drugged, but I don't think he should have drugged them. It should have been somebody else. And so that kind of disappoints me, because then it just makes Alan an asshole, like a total asshole. I mean, he kills the giraffe in Part 3. He's driving the giraffe home. He bought it from the zoo, and in his head, the giraffe's head gets ripped off, when it goes through an overpass. So he's kind of a dick to begin with. But I love the Hangover series. And you thought Part 3? I think Part 2. So out of everything, the TV series and all that, I think that by far Part 2 is the best. And this is the giant. I mean, this thing is, it's got a ton of stuff in here. I mean,
nice. You got the tin and everything.
Postcards and
nice.
Yeah. Oh no, don't fall. Oh no, it fell. So yeah, I think Part 2 is the best. I appreciate Army of Darkness. There we go. I finally got it. If I leave it down there until we end this, my cat will get it. And then I'll chew it up. He just has to chew on anything paper. So yeah, I think Evil Dead 2, because it came out when I was in film school. So every student film that I made has the camera spinning, or going into somebody's face, or it's very Evil Dead 2.
Okay.
So all right, so those are my kind of honorable mentions, I guess.
Honorable mentions.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll go ahead and show off my couple of Blu-rays, and then we'll go let you show the rest of the stuff off, and I'll show the games. How you want to do it?
I mean, if you want to do yours all at once, that's fine. If you want to break it up, that's fine. Whatever you want to do.
Okay. All right. Well, because even though I made fun of him earlier, I do have the Star Trek motion picture trilogy.
Okay.
This is for some reason this is not 1, 2, and 3. This is 2, 3, and 4. So I do have Part 1, but it's separately. So I don't know why they did that. They should have put them all in one.
I think it's because the director did his director's cut.
Okay,
I
probably.
think that's why it's separate. There is no director's cut for 2, 3, and 4. The TV versions are different. But
Isn't there
yeah,
a director's cut? Isn't there a director's cut of
oh,
Wrath
there
of
is
Khan?
one of part 2. There is one of
Yeah.
part 2.
So they did that separately as well, but then they did just part 1 like in a standalone Blu-ray, and then they did this, and then uh, uh I'm only missing 5 and 6, so I
Okay.
need to get those at some point.
Okay.
So
Yeah, who knows why they do weird things like that.
out of all the animation I have, the Shrek, the whole story.
Oh, well, how many Shrek movies are there?
There's 4.
You heard that
They
the lead singer of Smash Mouth just died at 59.
Yeah, yeah. You know, somebody once told him the world was going to roll him.
Well, and now he's walking on the sun.
So,
But they
yeah.
did one of the worst versions of I'm a Believer I've ever heard. I hate their version of I'm a Believer.
And that's in the first Shrek movie, I believe.
I can't stand it. I'm a Monkees fan, and Mickey Dolenz would not shut up about that. Whenever the Monkees were in concert or he was solo, and I would go, he would point out to the audience that he was the first one to do I'm a Believer because it was actually a hit, in Shrek. And he'd be like, no, I was the guy who made it a hit back in the 60s. I'm still singing it today. It's like, dude, shut up. We all know. We're fans. We obviously know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I think I've only seen Shrek 1. I think I've only watched the first one.
The second one is pretty good. Third one and fourth one, so if I had to pick my favorite sequel, would have to be Shrek 2. Because you get a lot of the characters that they're well known or are introduced in the second one, and the third and fourth one just kind of I don't know. Fourth one, I really don't know if it even needed to exist, but it exists.
Probably not. Kind of like Toy Story 4, I guess. Like 1 through 3 was fine.
And 5, I guess they're doing a 5 now. I don't know why.
Because it's money and everything that Disney does bombs.
Well, it is what it is. Jaws, the 3-movie collection. This is the 2, 3, and Revenge. I'm sorry,
Yes.
2 and 3D.
And Jaws.
Even though it doesn't say 3D.
Kind of it comes up as just, I think it's just Jaws 3 in the credits. I think when it comes up, it doesn't say 3D, it just says 3. But it still does the 3D thing.
Yeah.
So I like all the Jaws movies. I think, obviously part 1 is a classic. Part 2, I think, is a great sequel. As far as sequels go. And part 3 is entertaining in a bad way. It is written by Richard Matheson, who wrote I Am Legend. It is just Gorgo. I mean, if you've ever seen the British movie Gorgo, that's all it is, but with a shark. And I love part 4. I can't get enough of part 4. I think Revenge is great. It's so awful. And there's all this deleted footage that I wish that they would put back in.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I enjoyed all. I enjoyed 2, 3. I think I liked Revenge more than 3. I don't know. But I still do. I do like all 3 of them. Actually, I like all 4 movies. So how just.
Yeah, I think I like 4 better than 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus 3, it's directed by Joseph Sargent, who did a great movie called The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 back in the 70s. Great movie, which has Robert Shaw. And then also Mario Van Peebles is in it, who died and then didn't die in the movie. And then Michael Caine was able to buy a house with that money, and he missed his Academy Award to do Jaws the Revenge to get that money to buy his house. It has a history. Wow. It's awesome.
Yeah. Lethal Weapon?
Yes. Okay. So I have to ask you, because I got those on DVD.
Okay.
And it's the Warner Brothers one where you see like each poster, and each one says, except for part 4, the director's cut. And because I guess part 4 is the director's cut, that's the theatrical version. I wanted that, but then I looked at the back at the running times, and the running times on the back are the theatrical versions.
Okay.
Not the director's cuts. They're shorter. Are the director's cuts in that? Because I'd prefer to get them all on Blu-ray.
I'm not sure. What do you know the runtimes of the director's cut?
I think they're right here, but I think it's put down here by time. Oh, yes, this is the right one. So, yeah, so this is the one I have.
Okay.
And they all say director's cut, director's cut, director's cut. This one doesn't, because like I said, this is the official version, which is over 2 hours.
Okay.
So on here, so it says Lethal Weapon is 117 minutes.
These are not the director's cuts then.
Yeah, then like Lethal Weapon
mine is the theatrical versions. This is 109 minutes.
Yeah, then
for
like
Lethal Weapon 1. Lethal Weapon 2 is 114 minutes.
118.
Okay, so there's 4 minutes extra. And then Lethal Weapon 3 is 118.
121.
All right, so these are just the theatrical
and
versions.
then your part 4 should be 127.
Yes.
So I'm thinking of getting them anyways on Blu-ray because they look great, as I'm sure they probably look and sound great on Blu-ray. But I'm wondering if like in there, like in some sort of booklet or whatever they have, does it include the director's cuts? Because Lethal Weapon, the first one, works better as the theatrical cut.
Okay.
Because the original Lethal Weapon, the theater one, starts with our Lethal Weapon trying to commit suicide. Like he wakes up in his trailer and he takes the gun and he does the Russian roulette and it clicks and he doesn't die. In this, it begins with him going to a school where there's a hostage situation. And he kills the guy who took all the kids, the hostage. And then it like goes to him trying to commit suicide.
Okay,
and I thought, that doesn't work as well.
Okay.
So it's almost like you got to get both.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know those director's cuts. Now that you told me this, I'm gonna have to see if I can track maybe that copy down so I can get the director's cut, because I prefer to have both versions of a movie. Even if sometimes the director's cut's better, sometimes the theatrical cut's better. So
yeah, in this case, I would definitely say that I need that and you need this. I just got this off of eBay for really cheap.
Oh, I'm sure. I've seen that one in Walmart for years. I just never thought about grabbing it. So I'll have to see if I can track that down.
Yeah, it's weird. I wonder if there was some sort of I don't know, like something in their contract or whatever it is that they couldn't release these on Blu-ray. Like the contract only went up to like it just said DVD.
I'm not sure. I think I'm thinking this is an older release. Let me see if there's a date on here. I don't see a date, but I think this is an older release, so maybe
this is 2007 is when this came out.
All right, so this says 2012. So that don't make any sense.
Yeah, so there must be like for Scream, the original Scream, everything is R-rated except the Laserdisc is unrated and has all the blood in it that was cut out for the theatrical version. But they cannot, and I asked my buddy Cliff, who's at Scream Factory, what the deal is. And he's just like, yeah, it's like a contract thing. They could only release the uncut version on a Laserdisc, and they can't do it on anything else.
Yeah.
So he at the time had a huge collection of laser discs, and he bought it, so he still has it. And you
There
could
you
get
go.
it, but it's pricey. You know, you could get it on eBay, but it costs a little bit.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Um, the Man with No Name trilogy.
Oh, one of the best. One of the best.
Yes,
That's got
I
to sound great.
yeah, I these are the this includes a I'm not sure how recent, but supposedly it's a new remastered version of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Is it the
That's
extended one?
I'm not sure.
They did an extended one where they had like a voice impersonator do the Eli Roth stuff because he died before they did it.
Okay.
And so it's not his voice, it's somebody imitating him. But I don't, maybe it's the remastered one, I'm not really sure, but I know that there's some other cut of that.
I'm not 100% sure if this is the director's cut or not. I think this is just the regular version.
Which is perfectly fine. That's probably
Yeah.
how you should watch it, because that's the classic.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
178 minutes, or almost 3 hours long. Because I think the director's cut is like what, almost a little over 3 hours. So this is just a
Something,
little under.
yeah, I'd have to look it up.
This is just a little under 3 hours, but
I would probably buy it like that. I don't think that
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the way that you should see it.
Yeah, I still need to watch The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. I've watched the first two. I just bought it recently, so me and my wife watched the first two, and we're gonna watch the third one here soon.
Have you seen Once
So,
Upon a Time in America? I'm sorry, Once Upon a Time in the West.
yes,
Great movie. Yeah, great.
there's two. There's Once Upon a Time in the West.
And then he did Once Upon a Time in America.
Yeah, which I
was
have
like,
the DVD. I have the DVD director's cut of that, which is the extended cut. Everything that they took out, put back in. Only can get it on DVD though. That's the sucky thing.
yeah, it's got to be like a rights thing.
It has to be. And my last collection here is the Dragon Heart. 5 movies.
Oh yeah, they did make a bunch of movies after the first one. Did Sean Connery do the voice of any of them?
No,
Except for the first
it was
one?
just that was just the first one.
Okay.
He did the voice of the dragon. After that, it was like the first two are the best. I mean, the first one obviously is the best one. The second one is pretty good. Third and fourth and fifth one, kind of okay, but not great. There's really no connection.
Sounds like the Police Academy movies.
Yeah, I mean, like the first two are connected, even though it's different characters. They mention Draco in the dragon from the first movie. They mention him in the second movie, but they don't. But after that, they kind of just do their own thing.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's all the movies I got.
Okay. So let's see. So these are all the independent ones. Now, for anybody out there that I know that is an independent filmmaker that I am friends with, and you have made a sequel and it's not on this list, don't unfriend me, because as I'm sure we're going to do at some point down the road next year or something.
Yeah, unfriend him.
You know, we'll do another one of these videos, sequels part 2, and so, but these are I have for particular reasons. So the first one is sequel. Oh, and I have to grab. I need this. I'm sorry. I do not know how to pronounce one of these guys' names, so I had to write it down phonetically. Okay, so this one is sequel, Cruel Summer Part 2. So this is Scott Tepperman and Jim O'Rear, and I am in Part 1 at the very beginning during the credits. I'm not in Part 2, but I am in Part 3, which has not shot yet. I play the same character, and I thought this was better than the first one. I tend to like slasher sequels almost better. It depends. Than the first ones. I like the aftermath.
Okay.
So I like when I did my ranking for like Halloween, I said Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is better than Rob Zombie's Halloween because it just feels like pure Rob Zombie. And I like seeing the aftermath of them just being all mentally fucked up. And I like that. And this, they kind of follow that. So I really, so I like this better than the first one. I enjoyed this. The next one is from my buddy, Joe Lujan. And this is Rust. It's Rust 1 and 2, but out of the 3, and I'm in part 3, I was cast and crew for part 3. I still like part 2 the best.
Okay.
And his Rust stuff is really good. I like all 3 of them, but part 2 I think is the best.
Okay.
And I think Joe said you can't get this anymore. This you can get, but this you can't. This is out of print now. So
is he planning on maybe re-releasing it at some point? Or?
Yeah, he's going to be bringing out both. We actually shot new footage, and he incorporated it in, and it actually worked out pretty well. So he likes doing that. He likes taking his older stuff and kind of like recolor coding it, re-editing, shooting new scenes, or putting in something maybe that he cut out. So with Joe, it's almost
so he's pulling a George Lucas.
Yes. And so it's best to buy the stuff before he gets rid of it, because then you have something that doesn't exist anymore. So, and the thing with Rust 1 and 2 is I was about to do Meat Hook 4, and Lindsay Cruz is in part 2, and she's in Meat Hook 4, and at the Millennium Bar out here, which is Star Wars oriented. That's why it's Millennium Bar.
Yeah.
Millennium Falcon. And Joe was playing parts 1 and 2, and I didn't know Joe at the time. I knew Lindsay. And I'm just like, oh, fuck, those look like Meat Hook 4. Shit, I better go and check those out. And luckily, they have nothing to do with Meat Hook. But that's how I met Joe, is from this. So, now, this one is going to surprise you. I know this is going to surprise you, because I am so disappointed in this filmmaker. I'm adding it to this list. And that is Terror at Black Tree Forest.
Okay.
So this is the second one. There's 3. This is Dustin Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched when we were doing, I think it was Axe Grinder 2, which is not in my stack. I watched 1 and 2. I didn't watch part 3 because I was tired and we were shooting the next day, and I drove from Vegas to LA. I don't know why he's not this guy. This is when I got done watching part 1, I just went, dude, why don't you make movies like that anymore? He was good editing, good music. The shots were good. There was no endless walking. There was no just like bad stock footage. There was B-roll. There was, I mean, these are like real movies.
Yeah.
And when I asked him why aren't you doing these anymore? He goes, yeah, I just don't do it. I don't shoot B-roll. I don't do any of that stuff anymore. It's like, dude, you were a real filmmaker at one point. I guess he would call himself a real filmmaker. I mean, we'll see how Spider Baby is. But yeah, I just, it's such a disappointment, because he could have done so good if he just stayed like a real filmmaker.
I think his whole thing was, a lot of that was when he was in Nebraska. So when he moved out here to California, he just kind of like did like a redo, like a revamp or something, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like a rebranding almost. So,
well, but even his stuff in Nebraska was bad. These 3 are the best things he's ever done.
Okay.
So yeah.
I haven't seen any of the 3, so I can't comment.
I think they're all on Tubi. You know. So this is the one where I need to say the last name phonetically, and I'm still probably going to say it wrong. So this is Amir Sakal Anja.
Scalanja.
Thank you. I cannot pronounce.
Scalanja, yeah.
I cannot
Scalami-
pronounce his.
I'm probably mispronouncing it as well, but I think you said it's Scalan. I just had it.
You're closer than I am. So sorry, Amir. And I'm even in one of his movies. So he's been on like One Filmmaker a couple times. But I can't help it. And so I discovered these films before I knew who he was. And then when I became friends with him, I still didn't know that he did these. And I have them all on DVD, and then I bought the Blu-ray that has the trilogy, and that's the Plague films. And this is the second one.
Yeah. I've been meaning to pick those up at one point. I just never had the chance.
And that Blu-ray is really nice because you get all three of them. He's done a few zombie stuff. And yeah. I think I really like it. I think he's a really good filmmaker. His covers for stuff are always really good. And it's I just think it's really good. So I definitely want to. Oh, look, you even signed it for me right there.
Nice.
I didn't realize that. So yeah. Shout out.
The one I have is movie I have of his is the Legend of Pigman.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. There's one where the Pigman is in another film where he takes like basically all of his villains, and puts them into one movie.
I forget what it's called.
Yeah, and that one was pretty good too. So I think all of his stuff is good. Now this one I am a little biased on, but it kind of I grabbed it. Oh, hold on one second. I grabbed the wrong one. Hold on.
He grabbed the wrong one, ladies and gentlemen.
I grabbed the wrong one. So
we are professional here.
This doesn't count.
We are so professional, John. So professional.
I meant to grab part 2, but I grabbed part 1. But instead, I'm going to grab part 4. So, all right, here we go. So this is David Mankey, and Mia Custer, that's his girlfriend. So this is Dark Shade Creek 4, 10 years later.
Okay.
And I love 1 and 2. I love part 3, but I think it's a little long. And then he made part 4. And I'm in part 4. This is a bucket list. A lot of these people that I work with are bucket list people. So I'm in this one. And I think it's pretty good. I like it. And so his Dark Shade Creek films are really good. So he's another one. He's kind of the same thing as Amir, that I just like his stuff. And so I was really happy to be in both of these guys' films. So Dark Shade Creek 4. I got to bring Sterling into this. This is the guy who got me into all this, and that's Camp Blood 2.
Nice.
So when I was in Pasadena and VHS was still a thing, I guess, before Blu-ray, is somebody told me, you need to go see this. You need to watch these films called Blood Camp. And I'm like, okay. So I called the Ma and Pa video store by me. And I said, you have a movie called Blood Camp? And she goes, I'm not seeing anything about Blood Camp. We have Camp Blood. There's 2 of them. I'm like, that must be it. And so I drove up after work, rented Camp Blood 1 and 2, and have been a fan of David and Camp Blood ever since. Mm-hmm. And I do like this one actually better than Camp Blood. I like that it's like a movie, that they want to make a movie about the first movie in this.
Yeah.
So I like that.
The first 2 are the best, in my opinion.
I would agree with that. Yes.
After I haven't seen Brad Sykes the 3rd one he did, where he tried to go around Within the Woods, I think it's called.
Yeah.
That's the only one I haven't seen yet. But I don't know.
Oh. So the next one is the sequel to Machined. I'm a big fan of both of these. It's David C. Hayes is the reason why I watched them. So this is the sequel, Reborn. The first one is Machined, and these are really cool horror films. I really like these. I wish that they would have made a part 3, but yeah, like I said, I mostly got it for David C. Hayes. But so that one's good. And now we're back to Joe, and I got to include, of course, his Immortal Wars. So this is the second one.
I need to see those. I've been wanting to see those for a while.
And it's see, I should have grabbed the ones that I thought were the best. So this is the second one, Resurgence, which is really good. And I've worked with a lot of these people. You know, there's like Tyler Kilgore is there. There's Lindsay. We got Mark Justice. I think it's on here somewhere. Maybe that's him. There's Joe right there. But see, I should have grabbed the ones. I keep getting up. It's so rare that I rarely get up.
So does Joe act in his own movies too, or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool deal.
Yeah.
Hey, I like when a director will actually act in their own movies. You know, they're alongside directing. I always like that.
Yeah, because he's pretty much a one-man film studio. This is my favorite out of his Immortal Wars Rebirth.
Okay. So
I'm in a couple of them. I actually play the guy that kind of creates all the Immortals, and so it's, yeah, this is my favorite one. This is like the third one, I believe.
Okay.
But 1 and 2, I think they're all on Tubi.
Okay.
So
I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check him out because I've been wanting to see him.
Yeah,
I definitely want to try to get the DVDs at some point. I'd like to, you know, show Joe some support. You know what I mean? I like to try to support people that are, you know, worthy of supporting.
Yeah, and this is another case like what he did with Rust, is that he'll take these, and because he's going to do Blu-ray releases of everything, and the re-editing, recoloring, you know, mixing scenes up, adding in new like visual graphics. So these will be different than the Blu-rays. They'll also have different covers. So and I'm sorry, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm just gonna be that guy, and I'm gonna AXEMAS too. I'm sorry.
Shameless plug.
Yep, I'm just gonna be that guy. It's better than the first one, and AXEMAS has done a lot better for me than I thought it would. I thought it would just be like a little movie that just went away, and it's not. And AXEMAS 2 is a good film. So
there you go.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen AXEMAS 1 and 2, go to Tubi and watch them. And I'm going to be that guy again. Meathook 4. Also a film that I made. And it's I don't care what Ferguson says. He calls it the black sheep of the Meathook films. That's funny because this is the best reviewed out of all of them. Tom Devlin even told me this is the best out of all of them. He got the box set from David Sterling. Everybody says this is the best one. Has the highest budget, and it's the best made out of all of them. I've seen them all.
Well, and wouldn't you if he's calling it the black sheep of the series, wouldn't you, I'd wear that as a badge of honor.
I kind of do, because it's just, you know, we don't talk to, and I think it says the producer's cut. I should have actually called it the Ferguson cut, because he edited the film. Producer's cut kind of makes it sound like it's mine, I guess, because I am the producer on it. So I kind of messed up on that. But yeah, I mean, it's I'm sorry. People really like AXEMAS and AXEMAS 2. Yeah. And people have said this is the best one. So
there you go.
Yeah. So there's all mine. And yes, and I am going to do some shameless promotion because they're good and they're independent films.
Nothing wrong with that.
No. All right, there we go. All right, so what else you got? You got games?
All right, I got some video games. Video games. No. All right, so there's something I wanted to bring up before I go into the games. There's a reason for it, I promise. I looked up the definition of sequel to see like what the definition is, and I want to read the definition to you. A definition of a sequel is a published broadcast, or recorded work that continues the story or develops the theme of an earlier work. So, I thought that was interesting because I just lost my notes. It's fine. It's fine. We're professional here. Maybe. I wanted to bring that up because I couldn't think of anything movie-wise that we've ever had. With a lot of movies, it's a lot of it's continuations. The only example I could say is that's not a continuation, but a theme will be like the Dragonheart movies, because the first two are connected, but the last three are kind of their own thing, but they're all based on a dragon.
Okay.
So that's the shared theme. Well, I have that a lot with games. So mainly the Final Fantasy series.
Okay.
This is Final Fantasy 4. I have a couple more. Hold on. Like I said, we're very professional here.
Very.
Final Fantasy 12 have nothing to do with each other. These are separate worlds, completely different stories. The only thing that they share is that they're both role-playing games, and they're both named Final Fantasy.
Okay.
So.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
So we got Final Fantasy. That is the second biggest selling series in Japan. The number one is a game series called Dragon Quest. This is their number one selling. This is Dragon Quest 8.
Okay.
Which, cool little tidbit here. Over here in the West, this was not called Dragon Quest. It was called Dragon Warrior, because I guess there was a Dragon Quest already over here, so they couldn't use the rights. They couldn't call it Dragon Quest over here in the West. Okay. When I say the West, over here in America.
Gotcha.
So around this time is when the rights to the word Dragon Quest ran out, so they finally were able to name the series what it's actually called. So this is the first time we can see that. And this is number 11. Nothing to do with each other. So not a continuation, but they're the themes.
Okay.
All right. So and the other one that I have here that is kind of a theme, not really a sequel. I have to show this again. Is the second game here, which is called Chrono Trigger. This is the sequel, Chrono Cross. Supposedly in the same world, but completely different characters. So kind of a continuation, but not really a continuation.
Okay.
So
games are confusing.
Yes, they are. All right, so the next ones are basically I'm just going to show them off. I'm not really going to go into the whole continuation, all that stuff. So, Dark Souls. Now, you might be thinking, if that's number one, this is actually a sequel to a game on the PS3 called Demon Souls.
Okay.
So there is I guess the game didn't sell well because of the name Demon Souls, I guess.
Oh, geez. Okay.
So, but it later on they remastered it, and now it's a big hit. It was like one of those ones that it didn't sell well at the time, but then years later, like a lot of people were big fans of it, and kind of grew popularity almost.
Okay.
So there's that. We also have Fable 2.
That one I know.
It's a great game. Third one, not so much. And these are Gears of War 2 and 3.
Wait, let me guess. They have nothing to do with each other.
These do have things to do with each
Oh,
other.
okay.
So,
All right.
so
That's
this
fine.
is Gears of War 1. I only brought up here. So, this is the very beginning, and it ends with 3. So this is a whole trilogy, all big one story.
Okay.
So
Well, that's good.
yeah, and then the last 3 here, these ones are all part of these are all have things to do with each other. So we have The Witcher.
Oh, yeah. I know the
This is
series. I
The
know it's
Witcher
games and
2.
books and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, with it. Well, um, interesting tidbit. These actually made the series popular over here in America. The author was very upset about that because he said, well, no, the books are more popular. Actually, the games made your books more popular because they were never translated in English until these games were released.
Oh, okay.
So this is The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 3.
It's now bombing on Netflix because of Henry Cavill
Yeah,
quitting.
that was stupid mistake on their behalf.
You know, all he said was just follow the source material. That's all he said.
Exactly.
I'll stay
That's
on
all
for
he said.
10. He's like, I'll stay on for 10 seasons. Just make it. Just do the source material.
I mean, they have 8 books.
They don't
All
care.
they had to.
They
They just
mocked
wanted to
the
do their
books.
own thing.
Yeah, they mocked the books. They made them all friggin' woke. They did all these stupid characters that don't exist, and they did that spin-off that bombed. I mean, that's okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That's a whole thing. And I guess Henry Cavill was a huge fan of the books and a huge fan of the games. So he was just like, hey, listen, I'm not going to stand by while you guys are mocking and basically destroying a beloved series. So
Yeah.
that's why he walked away. So the last one I have here is a trilogy. There's actually more games in this, and these do have think they do go into each other, but the way the timeline is very messed up, and that is Devil May Cry.
Oh, I know of those. Okay.
Okay, so here's the messed up part. We have on the back here we have Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3. Okay, Devil May Cry 3 is the first in the timeline. This is when he was younger. Then it goes Devil May Cry 1, Devil May Cry 4, and I don't know where 5 steps in, but 2 is actually the end of the series.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, as you said before, video games are confusing.
Yeah. Yeah. They sound just
So,
as confusing as movies. I mean, like,
oh yeah.
like all the
What
Fast and
was it?
Furious movies.
So, I mean, like, what was the other one? The Conjuring, or was it Conjuring that had a confusing timeline? Like, there was like a whole. It was like it wasn't like straightforward. It was like
That it seemed like they didn't give a shit. That was so when Jonathan Moody and I watched them, and we did watch them in chronological order, it didn't make sense.
yeah,
So they just didn't give a crap. But Fast and Furious did. So you can watch one film, or you could watch like part 1, then part 5, then part 8, you know, and it actually makes sense. Like maybe in one film you would go, well, that doesn't make sense because they haven't brought it up. And then you watch the next film and it's brought up.
yeah.
So they went back and shot all the stuff to make it make sense. And it makes sense. So
and then they did like little short films in between or something like
there's
that.
2 short films. Yeah, that's in one is with Paul Walker and it's between 1 and 2. And then there's another one that Vin Diesel directed. I forget exactly where that fits in. It might be
Okay.
like between 5 and 6, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and those count. Yeah, you would almost have to watch those 2 short films in order with all the other ones, which is what I did, because they're on the Blu-rays.
Yeah.
So it's easy to find. So yeah, so some people care and some people don't,
Yeah.
So what you gonna do?
Yeah.
So so let's see. Do we so we've been here for basically 2 hours. Do we want to continue, or do you have stuff to
do? You want to? We can continue. Do you want to go over the article real quick?
Oh yeah, go over that. Sure.
Okay. So I found a article, and like I said, we're very professional. Little paper.
Of course.
This is an article from tvtropes.org, and the article is called Sequelitis. Now, there's like 32 points here. I'm not going to go through this entire article because we'll be here for another 2 hours. But there were 7 here that I'd like to go kind of like maybe discuss a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and read the first bit here, and then we'll go into. I'll read like the first paragraph, and then we'll go into the points. All right?
Okay.
All right. So, sequelitis. As the number of installments in a series grows, the probability that the latest entry will be terrible increases geometrically. While the first sequel of a work is sometimes something of a coin toss between totally awesome and mediocre, the more they milk the cash cow, the less cream you see. Which is they're not lying. Of course, works that go to theater have high production value. On the whole, their creators are at least trying, but if it's direct-to-video media, the chances that the third one is nothing but unmitigated crap is already close to 100%.
I mean, this particularly, I disagree with this. Okay, but go on.
Oh, okay.
Because there are good part 3s.
Yeah, there are some good part 3s.
Friday 3, Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Yeah, well, it's saying this is saying direct to video. Like if it's a lot of direct to video that didn't get in theaters and stuff, that's what they're talking about.
Okay.
Where was I? This is partially because people assume a direct to video work is just something that wasn't good enough to get into theaters, and as a general rule, they tend to be right. In other words, sequels to works generally created on the impetus of box office revenue are rarely as good as the works they're sequels to. If there's a third installment, it will frequently mark a sharp downhill turn, even when the second work turned out all right. And even if there is a good trilogy, going beyond that has even greater chance of crapitude.
Crapitude. Okay.
Crapitude.
I
it's a word now.
It is.
So, like I said, there's 32 points to these common symptoms of sequelitis, but we're only going to go over 7.
Okay.
So, point number 1, making a sequel just because the original was successful and the executives want more money, regardless of creative potential or the fans wanting a sequel or not.
Okay. I was
agree with that?
It's funny that you bring that up because I was trying to think of stuff to ask you, and I was going to say, just because a movie makes money, does it need a sequel?
It depends. I feel like it depends on, was it intended to have a sequel? Now, if it was intended, if they made a part 1, because a lot of times what some people will do, and I've even seen this with people who write books. What they'll do is they'll make the first part, like make it like a wrap up, so in case it doesn't do well, they don't waste their time doing a sequel. But sometimes they'll make it that they'll have like a wrap up at the end, just so that in case it fails. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because like one that comes to mind would be Skyline. If you've ever seen it, the Independence Day ripoff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I can't call it a ripoff. It's actually done by the same effects guys. They made their own movie. But it was supposed to be a trilogy. And only a couple years ago, they finally brought out part 3. And even though it's in the same universe, it's different people. Frank Grillo, I think, is in the second one. And but they leave it completely. It's almost like an act is missing.
Yeah.
So it ends and just goes to credits, and you're like, what the fuck? Is this how they end it? And then a friend of mine who knows the guys go, oh yeah, it's meant to be a trilogy. It's like, but is it going to pick up right where the first one left off? Because there's no ending to part 1, and it didn't.
It didn't.
No.
Oh.
Same place,
Ooh.
LA, different characters, but same time.
Wow.
It was part 3. They do kind of bring in
like bring it all to a close.
Kind of, yeah.
But
okay. But it's so, yeah. I mean, I think it depends. I mean, does Rocky need this miniseries? Or sequels? I mean,
okay.
I think if there's something to say and it moves the story forward with new information, then yes.
Yeah.
So I would probably say, the original Star Wars films are great with that.
Yeah.
Each one creates more and more, you learn more and more about about what's in Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, it's I hate when they make a movie and it's clearly like they don't leave it ending, and then they try to make up a reason to continue it. Especially when I feel like the director's like, okay, I only had one story to tell. I didn't really have it planned to make any more. So what's the point of, making another one if it wasn't planned? Obviously, like I said earlier in the article, to milk the cash cow at that point.
Well, I think the original Star Wars did a great job because it had a beginning, middle, and end. Death Star blowing up. That's our movie. It could be one film, but you had Vader spinning off into space, which made us go, oh, maybe a sequel. Maybe we'll get a part 2.
Yeah.
But if they never made part 2, it still would have been a complete movie all by itself.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and skip number 2 because it kind of says the same thing. Number 3, the revival or return of a character, particularly a villain, who was killed off or kicked out in the first work. Just brought back just with no particular reason. The one that comes to mind I know we've been picking on the Disney Star Wars movies here all night, but Captain Phasma. She supposedly died in the first movie. Then they brought her back in The Last Jedi. For what? You know what I mean?
Again.
Pretty much.
I would say Palpatine.
Yeah, exactly.
It completely makes the ending of Return of the Jedi garbage.
Yeah.
And then to sit there and say, oh, they're all clones. That was desperate. That was them being desperate. Yeah.
I mean, they had to fix Rian Johnson's mistake.
Ugh. I mean, if it's Freddy or Jason or Chucky, you can always, even Michael Myers, you can very easily find out a way. And like with Michael Myers with Halloween H2O, where she she cuts his head off. Okay, that's it. The end. Movie made a lot of money. Let's make another one. They just gave a reason for why it wasn't Michael Myers. It was one of the ambulance guys, in the costume with his mouth, he had tape on it.
Yeah.
So she didn't kill Michael Myers. So you're always going to find a way with those guys to bring them back, even if they die in the first movie, that you can. But if it's something, like like Star Wars, I mean, come on. No.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anyway. Number 4 is the mysterious unexplained departure of a main or major supporting character from the original work, usually because the actors didn't want to return or the filmmakers wouldn't or couldn't recast the role. So,
that has a lot. Yeah, scheduling,
yeah,
money,
hmm
or maybe the actor died.
yeah,
You know, Black Panther.
yeah,
But Jonathan and I on Horror Film Lovers, we were lucky to interview the guy who created Final Destination, and
okay,
he works on every single one. So the lead actor from part one didn't come back in part two. Ali Lauder did, but he didn't. And I asked him, I said, I have to ask you this. Was it a money issue? And he goes, well, let's just say it wasn't, may or may not be a money issue. And I'm like, okay, so it's a money issue. And I said, they killed him off by a brick. I'm like, we could have said in the film, in a newspaper article or something, or a news clip, that the lead character for the first film died in an auto accident in the second film. But instead, and I asked him, I said, did the writers purposely give him a stupid death? And he's like, well, I'm not saying they didn't. And I'm like, okay, this was like an FU. You know, we expected you to come back. You didn't. So you had him be killed by a brick.
yeah,
And so that's sometimes how you handle it. But like, look at Resident Evil. Half of the, well, Ali Lauder's in that too. Half of the time, the characters from the previous movie are not in the next movie. They'll come back in like part 4.
Yeah.
Or they could be, or some of the, you know, it's just, I guess, who's ever available or whatever they're writing up. So I do hate recasting. I don't like recasting.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I can understand if the only time I'm okay with a recasting is if the original actor passed away, and they can find someone that slightly looks similar to that character. That's the only time I'm okay with a recast. But just recasting, I don't know. It would be like recasting Han Solo, just because Harrison Ford didn't want to come back.
Didn't they do that?
I mean, in
Solo, a Star Wars story. I mean, and nobody. It was.
I mean,
the first Star Wars to lose money.
It's a younger Han Solo, so it kind of makes more sense.
But do you even need that? Like they said for the next Die Hard, is that it was going to be bookended by Bruce Willis, and then we're going to get the young John McClane. So this happened. So he was doing this stuff before Die Hard. Like this type of stuff was happening. I mean, he's just a cop. He's just like a New York cop. He's not Superman.
It just seems like John McClane was in the wrong place at the wrong time his entire freaking life.
I guess so, unless he keeps starting it. My biggest one was Alice in Nightmare on Elm Street, from 3 to 4.
Okay.
How it was Patricia Arquette in 3, and then they got Tuesday Night in 4. And the only thing that was the same with them was their blonde hair. But like the acting was different, the mannerisms were different, they totally looked different. That kind of bugged me. But obviously by after part 3 with Patricia Arquette is that's what she was starting to get big roles. So there was no way she was coming back.
Yeah.
But I do like when they come up with something creative. So one of my favorite ones is Stepfather 2 to Stepfather 3. So they couldn't get Terry O'Quinn back, who was in 1 and 2. So they had to get a different guy. So they pulled the Joker from Tim Burton's Batman. So you see him from the back, like on a dock, and he's going down the dock because he's like wounded from part 2, and he goes into the shack, and you never see his face, and it's a doctor. And he has all the stuff, all the medical tools all sitting out. They're all rusted and messed up. And he goes in like with the Joker. and he redoes his whole face to look like the actor who's in part 3.
So plastic surgery kind of
yeah.
deal.
And so it's the same character, but he gets plastic surgery. And I'm like, I like that. I thought that worked.
See, there's ways you can do it, but then there's just people just don't know how to handle a recast. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people's like, okay, well, or they could just say, oh, he somehow this character somehow died, and a twin sister comes along, you know, or a sister comes along. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the sister or twins are always the way to go. You know, that there's you got to love when they make like 5 movies and then all of a sudden, well, they did that in Fast and Furious. So John Cena is Vin Diesel's brother. And in part 9, we get the flashbacks to them being kids and the dad dying and how they kind of separated and stuff. So 1 through 8, his brother is never mentioned. Never. Until part 9. All of a sudden now he has a brother. And they look nothing alike, you know.
No.
And I think he's supposed to be like he who is not named type of thing. So like Michelle Rodriguez brings it up once because they're together. They got married in the short film that Vin Diesel did. And so she's like, I forget his name, but I'll say like, is it that Jacob? Isn't that a picture of Jacob? You know, and Vin Diesel's like, you know, type of thing.
We don't talk about him.
Yeah. and then he's in Fast X, and I guess he's in the next 2, or at least the next one. So
yeah.
Okay, what else do we got? I like
all right. The casual, shameless, meaningless, and sometimes callous killing off beloved characters. Star Wars.
It depends on how it's done. If it's Friday the 13th Part 2, where it's Adrian King who survives all the way through the first movie, only to be killed as the pre-credit kill, is a waste of time.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve her character any purpose except that they just wanted to have that tie-in. It kind of makes her character less. Alien 3, killing Newt and Hicks and kind of Bishop. She does get him working again, but when in the other scripts that they had, they were all there. And a couple of scripts Ripley isn't there. But that was, everybody was pissed off about that.
All right.
So yeah.
I mean,
when you say Star Wars, what do you mean in Star Wars?
I mean, killing Han Solo. I mean, I understand Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, just, you know, just supposedly. I mean, it's just the ridiculousness of, like I said, just casually and shamelessly and meaninglessly. Basically, yes, Han wanted out. Harrison Ford wanted out to begin with, didn't even want to be even there. But it's like, okay, you could have, I don't know, had him die more. Could have made his death a little bit more meaningful, not just.
That was the deal that Ford made, because remember, that was the deal that he didn't want to be in Return of the Jedi. He thought Han Solo should have died in carbonite freeze, but he was under contract for 3 films. So as I'm sure to get him back as Han, he's like, yeah, but I have to die.
Yeah.
And I want X amount of money.
But then there's Luke Skywalker, which, I mean, come on. Mark Hamill didn't even want to freaking go that route. I mean, come on.
No, like he hated Jedi.
I mean, it's Jedi. Like, dude, and we go into this every time we mention, you know, Kathleen Kennedy just being the destroyer of franchises she is.
Yeah, yeah, she hates legacy characters and wants to create her own. That's why she's doing another Star Wars with Ren. That nobody asked for. Nobody wanted. The Mary Sue of all Star Wars characters. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
All right, what else?
continuity porn. Annoying fans who get the nods and being downright confusing and jarring to those who might not even know references that are being made.
Continuity porn.
So I guess
yeah, but if you go into Return of the King, as I'm sure everybody assumed in the theater that you had seen parts 1 and 2.
Yeah. I think they're referring to like I'm assuming they're talking like maybe like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, you know, like sometimes they'll mention something that they'll have a nod to a Captain Marvel movie or a Captain America movie or an Iron Man movie. And if you haven't seen that, all the fans will be like, "Oh my God, they brought up Captain America in that one scene where Iron Man was."
Okay, so
that's what I think they're.
I then like continuity porn because this has it. So part 4 references 1, 2, and 3. So you kind of have to watch 1, 2, and 3 to watch this. I guess you could watch it on its own, but Brink Stevens talks about the war between families. That's part 3. Donna Heising is in this, who's from part 2. And then I believe I make a reference to part 1.
Yeah.
But if you watch this by itself, you would have no idea.
Yeah.
So I guess I like continuity porn.
I mean, hey, I mean, I think continuity is not the problem. It's just when existing fans are being irritating about, like, you know what I mean? Like they're being irritating about it. You know what I'm saying?
What's saying?
So continuity is not the problem. It's the continuous. I don't know. It's. Hey, I don't agree with it. I think continuity is great. I love continuity.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what he means.
I hate.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by that because
I'm not sure.
That's all Fast and the Furious. I mean, every single one references another movie or 2 movies or 3 movies or 4 movies.
Yeah.
So
I guess if it's overdone, I guess it's that's a problem. Well, maybe
like Jurassic World. I loved when they found the original Jurassic Park buildings, and it still had that banner that the T-Rex broke off, and it, you know, where it was roaring and it kind of went down to the ground. I loved that. My nipples went like this. They were so erect. I had erect nipples during that. I love stuff like that. I constantly will like Kittredge from the new Mission Impossible from 7, he was from part 1, not in any of the other movies. And when I saw the trailer and saw Kittredge, I was like, oh my god, he's back. So I love it. So I guess I love it.
Hey, you disagree with this argument, okay? I actually disagree. I disagree with it as well. I mean, I'm not. I personally like when they. That's just. I think the biggest thing is that if you don't know the reference, either you missed something in the previous movie or you didn't watch the previous movies.
Right.
And if you're watching series out of order, what is wrong with you?
Well, I told Miranda, that my effects artist, that I said, yeah, I would probably go see Doctor Strange and the blah 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 of madness, whatever it is. And she just looked at me and laughed. And I went, why? And she goes, you're gonna be so confused. you're not going to go know anything that's going on. And I only wanted to see it because it was Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
But I watched it when it came on the streaming, but I didn't even bother. But I guess I kind of got it. I mean, but yeah, I mean, you can't really watch that movie without watching 3 other movies plus WandaVision, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess the basic, maybe, like I said, is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because there's so much you have to watch in order to get something. Like, for example, like me, I don't have Disney Plus, nor do I plan on getting Disney Plus. So if they were to reference Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Captain America and the Winter, whatever the fuck it's called, is it Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
That's the TV show.
Yeah. Or WandaVision or Loki season 1, I wouldn't know what's going on there. So I think maybe that's what I think. They're like, okay, a little overdue. Like, there's so much crap that you got to follow, and then all of a sudden when they have like little nods to this thing or that thing, and you don't know what's going on, but then you got the annoying fans going, "Oh my god, they reference Loki season 2, episode 2. Oh my god, it's amazing."
That's me. That's me, but just not with Disney. That's me with Doctor Who, Star Trek, all that type of stuff. If Star Trek Voyager references original Star Trek, I'm like, oh my god, it is in the same universe.
I mean, like I said, I have no problem with that. Like I said, I think what he was trying to say is just, I guess some fans get annoying about it. Whatever.
Well, they break
Almost
it down. It becomes like a science. It is that they will, hey, they, in that movie, the guy turned the safe with the left hand, but in the new movie, he's turning it with the right hand. And that's where the annoying continuity part, I think, comes in.
Yeah.
Is that they're so detailed.
Like, they're so nitpicky about it. If it's like, okay, can we just enjoy the movie instead of trying to be annoying about, okay, this scene, and then when they watch the flashback, he did it with his left hand, and then that completely destroyed the movie. I can't watch this stuff no more. I don't want no part of it.
That's it. It sucks. It ruined my childhood. I do have to admit, during Fast and Furious, when I was doing the chronological order, is you find out that Han, who dies in part 2, was actually killed by Jason Statham. And so when they were doing the flashbacks later on, I was fast forwarding, going, okay, can this happen? Okay, so I remember him dying in part 2, which actually takes place, which is actually part 8.
You mean Tokyo Drift?
Yeah, Tokyo Drift. I'm sorry. Yeah,
part 3. That's 3.
Yeah, and then
part 3.
So I'm watching it, and then when they do the flashback of Jason Statham ramming in that the car that rams into him is actually Jason Statham, I'm once again going, okay, how can this work? Does this actually work? Or Jason Momoa is in one of the cars from part 5 where the dad dies, and then he comes back for revenge, but his car was like one of the ones that was hit by like a missile and goes into the water. So now I'm watching Fast X with the flashback going, okay, let me go back and forth. Does this work? Does this actually, does it make sense? But I'm not on the internet going, this doesn't make sense. It's just, I wanted it to make sense for me.
Yeah. But like I said, you're not being the annoying fan that's going off about, every little thing. And then, like, if one tiny little speck just happens to be off, like, oh my god, Paul Walker woke up out of bed, walks downstairs with no shoes on, and then next thing you know, when he's downstairs, he has shoes on. It's like, who cares at this point?
It could be a scene missing in between there too.
I don't know, but anyway, the last one I got here is making a sequel just to earn more money, but from toys and other licensed products instead of ticket sales.
Oh, okay. That's they
Batman and Robin. Wait, is Batman Robin?
Batman almost Batman Returns on that they remember McDonald's had the toys from Batman
Yeah.
Returns, and the
Yeah.
toys were so gross, and the movie was so gross with like the penguin that McDonald's canceled it. They stopped carrying the toys because the movie was so gross. But yeah, completely on that's why, yeah, each Batman movie had a different Batmobile. That's why Batman had a different costume. That's
Yeah.
why Robin had a different costume. Did you know that the first film to do serious merchandising was the original Planet of the Apes, 1968?
I believe that.
Yeah, that was the first one that had lamps and trash cans and
Hmm.
toys and all of that. So a lot of people may think it's Star Wars, but it wasn't. No, it was Planet of the Apes.
Yes,
So
because Planet of the Apes came out right before Star Wars did.
it was roughly 10 years because it was 68 for Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, so it was like right around that time. And
Yeah.
then I guess Star Wars is like what really kind of took off with the merchandise and all that.
Yeah, because that was the one where Lucas said to the studio, "You guys can have everything. I just want the toys." And they're like, ha, 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 ha. "Oh, what a dumbass!"
And
And that
then
was like,
found out he made his millions on those toys.
"Yep." He probably made more money off those toys than he did, than they made off the film.
Yeah,
So he was smart. Lucas is not a dummy. He knew what he was doing.
no, no,
Because I was one of those
he
kids
knew.
that bought all those toys. I don't know if you remember, because I think you're too young, but maybe you saw something on YouTube. There is a Darth Vader head, and it was basically the head and the shoulders, and it ended kind of like right here, and you could
Hmm.
open it, and
That's
you
the one
could
that had
put,
the little departments that had you can put your toys and
yeah,
stuff in. Yeah,
and
I did see something like that.
you had to wait to get certain figures that you would send away for. So
Okay.
you would basically get like empty containers, and because you bought the empty container, you pre-ordered the figures to go into the container.
Yeah.
So for Christmas, I remember all my friends, we got an empty container. You can't play with it. It's an empty container. But we knew, oh my God, I'm going to get all these figures.
Yeah.
And eventually, slowly but surely, they started kind of coming in. And
Hmm.
and it was just like, but you don't have anything like that today. I don't think kids would be up for that. You can't just give them an empty bucket and then go, oh yeah, all this stuff is going to be put in the bucket over the year. It's like, what the hell?
Well, I think today it's more the anime than anything now. Like anime is like big in the when it comes to merchandise and all that. Because I remember when I was a kid, there used to be a TV show called Digimon, and basically,
Oh
it
yeah.
was all these monsters, and I would collect all these little toys. All they were these little tiny little figures. They were sometimes looked worse than the cartoon. They looked terrible, but I liked collecting them. So uh, every time I'd go to the Walmart, I'd beg my mom and dad to buy me one. But no,
Back in
sometimes
the
it
day
helps.
when Hot Wheels were metal, not plastic.
Yeah.
That's where you could actually use a Hot Wheel as a weapon. If you
Oh
got a
yeah.
bully come up to you, just grab your Hot Wheel, and just start hitting them with it. Those things were deadly. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's there's certain things that I buy. I did buy I'm now getting into those like Funko Pops,
Oh boy.
and I bought, because being a Tom Cruise fan and the Mummy, I bought the two that were the princess, and then when she turns into the mummy. So I got those.
Hmm.
But the Tom Cruise one is like $75 and up.
Ooh.
But the other ones, the mummy ones, were cheap. And then I got
Yeah.
the Nicolas Cage Mandy that has blood on him. But there's one
Yeah.
where he's solid red, and then there's a Mandy one, and then there's one with Mandy that's solid red. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking of collecting them that way. But
Yeah.
those are I actually find those fun, and they're cheap. They're only like $11.99 each. That's pretty cheap. They could sell them for 20, but they don't.
Yeah. There's depends on which ones you get. I've seen them go as low as like $8.
Yeah, yeah. Then there's like different versions too. So
Mhm.
yeah, they're kind of fun. Yeah, Jonathan's like, please don't get into those. I'm like, I only want certain ones. Like I want Hannibal with the mask.
I have 3. I don't know if you can see it well enough.
I can see that they're up there, but I can't see which ones they are.
All right, well, I just tell you, 'cause I'm not pulling them down. They were a pain about to get up there. I have Pennywise from the new It
Okay.
movies. I have Tom Baker's Doctor Who,
Nice.
because
Okay.
Tom Baker was like one of my favorite doctors.
Oh, he's one of the best, if not still the best.
I mean, you want a Jelly Belly?
Love that.
And Pickle Rick from Rick and Morty.
Okay.
So that's what I got. I had a few other ones. I have like an imposter thing. Let me see if I can pull it down. It's like a Batman, but with Harley Quinn.
Oh, okay.
So that's it. That's all I have.
All right. Yeah, I think I had a Batman one, and I sold it to like Zero Records because it didn't have the case or anything, and I wasn't into them at that time.
Yeah.
So I think which now I kind of wish I kept it.
The only reason I have this one out of the box is because the box got damaged. So I was just like, well, I'll just take it out and put them there, put them out, or her out, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. They, them,
They,
take
them.
them out, take they out, take them out. She, he, I guess it would be. So all right. So
Quit being so woke.
I know.
You liberal.
I was filling out a job application today, and it said, "Do you want to put your pronouns?" And I skipped it. I just skip. No, I don't. I really don't. I don't mind doing male or female. That's fine, because I mean I could put male, white. That's okay. But this is a whole other conversation. But okay, so I think that we're way past time. We're like 40 minutes past. So I don't think we should do the best and worst that I have up here on Google. We could do that another time.
Okay.
Yeah, I like your questions. I like those better. I only do the Google stuff if we still have time remaining. So I like your questions better. Those were more interesting.
Okay.
So anything else, and then I guess we'll take off.
That's everything. So yeah,
okay.
Sequels.
And now we get the fun of having to put all of our stuff away.
Ooh.
I hate that the most. I like pulling it out. I like finding it, and then it's like crap. Then I got to put it all away.
Yep. Fun times.
Yes. All right, man. Thank you. Thank you for doing this again. Always.
No problem.
And thank you everybody for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know down below your favorite sequels, not prequels. But you can do a what was it called? Scream 5 was called what? Not a reboot, a requel. Requels count, I think. So you could put Scream 5 in your list because it is a sequel reboot. Like Candyman, the remake of Candyman, I think would work too, because Tony Todd is in it as Candyman, and his Candyman is mentioned throughout the movie. But it is a requel.
That's going into territory I still don't understand.
So that's a whole other video, or requels.
Well, I have to watch some requels before we can do a video on them.
As I'm sure there's probably a list. Oh, I got out of it.
Probably.
Oh, yeah, I did. Oh, I totally got out of Google. Oh, well. Yeah, we'll have to check it another time. So, all right, everybody, this is it. This was a long one, but thank you for hanging out. And if you made it this far, thank you. Really appreciate it. And we don't know what's coming up next. We'll throw some ideas at each other and see what sticks. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye. Bye,
see you, everybody.
Bye. Bye.